couple more quick points before I start the demo. First, you need to do a brief warm-up before each of your weight training workouts. And when I say warm-up, I'm not talking about stretching. It's best to do that at the end. You just need to move for a few minutes to raise the temperature of your muscles a bit and get them warm. You can walk around the block, you can go up and down the stairs a few times, or if you have an exercise bike, jump on it for a few minutes. Just don't dive in stone cold into your weight workout. When it comes to form, each of the movements I show you needs to be done in a slow, controlled, deliberate fashion. When you go too fast, you develop momentum, and the muscles are no longer in control of the movement. I also want you to begin to visualize the specific muscle or body part we're working on. In other words, when we're doing a chest press, really try to focus and feel your chest doing the work. It takes a little practice, and your ability to visualize will improve over time. I also want you to try and maintain a normal breathing pattern where you exhale on the exertion phase of each movement. For example, when you're doing that chest press, you breathe out as you press and breathe in as you return. As I said a minute ago, select an amount of weight you can lift between 10 and 15 times. If you don't get 10 reps, go lighter the next time around. And if you get 15 reps, you can go a little heavier the next time. When you do one exercise for one series of 10 to 15 reps, you'll hear me refer to that as one set. Now again, this demonstration is not designed to be a real-time workout that you participate in. I just want you to stick with me so I can show you proper form and make you aware of safety precautions. I'm going to begin with a chest press. And even though it's called a chest press, it actually works all the pushing muscles in your body. Your chest, your shoulders, and your triceps, the muscle in the back of your arm. Starting with the dumbbells on the floor in front of you, lift them up and set them on your thighs. Bring the weights back with you as you lie down. It's very important that you do not try to pick the weights up from the side. Make sure you bring them back with you. From here, the movement resembles an upside down push-up. Exhale as you press the weights straight up while visualizing your chest, and inhale as you return the weights. After you fatigue, somewhere between 10 and 15 repetitions, return to a sitting position and set the dumbbells back down on the floor in front of you. Now, before I move on to the next muscle group, I want to show you an alternative exercise for your chest called the good old-fashioned push-up. If you're not comfortable lying on your back, or you find it difficult sitting back up at the end of your set of dumbbell presses, then this will be a better option for you. I'm actually going to show you two ways to do a push-up, and the option you select will be based on your individual strength level. Start by lying flat on your stomach with your palms on the floor slightly wider than your shoulders. Keep your neck and your back straight and try to feel your chest doing the work as you push straight up. I don't want you to pause at the top of the movement, and I don't want you to take the tension off your muscles at the bottom of the movement. I want you to do as many as you can with perfect form. If your form starts to break down, stop and rest for the next set. Now this can be a very tough exercise, so if you're not able to do 10 nice clean reps with a straight back, then I want you to do a modified push-up, where you place your knees on the floor and lift your feet up behind you. The form from there is the same. Keep your back and neck nice and straight. The next movement is called a one-arm dumbbell row and works all the pulling muscles of the upper back, as well as the bicep, the muscle in the front of your arm. You're only going to need one dumbbell for this exercise, and we're only going to work one side of the body at a time, and then we're going to switch. Starting with the left side, I want you to put your right hand and your right knee on the bench to support your lower back. Keeping your back flat and straight, pull the dumbbell up and try to visualize your back muscles, more so than just pulling from your arm. If you have a weaker arm, I want you to do that side first and then equal your effort with the stronger side. When you finish that side, switch and put your left hand and left knee on the bench as you pull the weight up with your right side. Again, make sure your back is straight and flat. You don't want to be rounded over. Now we're going to move on to a seated dumbbell shoulder press. This works the shoulders and the triceps. Starting with the weights in front of you on the floor, carefully lift them up to your shoulders with your palms facing forward. Press the dumbbells straight overhead and slightly together. Slowly lower the weights and try to stretch and pull them down to increase your range of motion. Make sure your shoulder, your elbow, and your wrist stay in line throughout the whole movement. After you've completed your set of 10 to 15 reps, slowly return the dumbbells to the floor in front of you. Seated bicep curl is next. Again, start with the weights in front of you on the floor and carefully raise them to your sides. Keep your back nice and straight and your palms facing forward. I want you to keep your upper arm stationary. In other words, your elbow is not going to move. Curl the dumbbells up slowly as you exhale and visualize your bicep. Do not swing the weight. This is one of those exercises where some people try to lift a little more than they should, and in the process, they find themselves going too fast and developing too much momentum. In other words, they cheat. And when you cheat, you're just doing less work with your bicep. Keep your form nice and strict. Moving on to the triceps, we're going to do a movement called the dumbbell tricep kickback. Basically, you're going to get into the same position you did for the one-arm row, and again, we're going to work only one side at a time. Starting with your left side, put your right hand and your right knee on the bench to support your lower back. Keep your back flat and straight, and with the weight in your left hand, raise your upper arm to the point where it's parallel with your upper body. From this point, you're going to keep your upper arm stationary while you extend your lower arm until your entire arm is straight. Basically, you're just going to hinge from your elbow. After you've completed your reps on the left, switch to the right and put your left hand and left knee on the bench. It's crunch time. Time to work the abdominals. I'm actually going to demo two exercises back to back, a reverse crunch and a regular crunch. Start by lying flat on the floor with your arms at your sides. Bring your knees all the way into your chest and try to keep your feet down next to your butt. This is the starting position, and from here I want you to roll your pelvis up towards your chest, pulling with your abs, and roll back down. Keep your pace slow and controlled so you don't develop any momentum. Now for the regular crunch, place your feet flat on the floor and slide your heels up next to your butt. That'll help to flatten and support your lower back. Now I want you to place your hands behind your head, but I don't want you to pull on your head or your neck during the movement. Just let your hands act as a cradle to support the weight of your head. Keep your heels in place and curl your torso up and forward. You're basically trying to shorten the distance between your pelvis and your rib cage. If you can do more than 15 reps, then next time around hold a light weight behind your head, but again, be sure not to pull on your head and neck. Make your stomach muscles do the work. The next exercise is called a back extension. It's a great movement to condition the lower back as well as some of the muscles in the upper back that'll contribute to improved posture. I want you to do this one on the floor instead of the bench so you'll have a wider base of support. Lie flat on your stomach with your arms at your sides. Simply arch up, pulling with your lower back, and draw your shoulder blades together at the same time. If after a few weeks of doing this you can do more than 15 reps, then you can increase the resistance simply by moving your arms out in front of you. At the end of your set, roll over on your back and stretch it out by bringing your knees to your chest. And last but certainly not least, we're going to finish with your legs. I'm going to show you a variation of the lunge that I call a split squat. I prefer this particular leg movement for three reasons. First, there's no impact or compression in the lower back and spine. Second, it's extremely versatile. By that I mean you can adjust the amount of resistance. And third, it's a big bang for the buck. And by that I mean that this one exercise hits all the major muscles of the lower body. Your quadriceps, your hamstrings, your glutes, your hip flexors, and your calves. I want you to start by getting two regular kitchen chairs and placing them on either side of you to be used in removing resistance if necessary and to aid in your balance. With your feet shoulder width apart and your toes pointing straight ahead, move one leg forward and the other leg back so that your hips remain in the center where you've placed the chairs. Keeping one hand on each chair and with your back upright and straight, drop straight down and come straight back up by pushing off the front leg. In the down position, make sure that your front knee goes no further than your front heel. That'll only happen if your upper body is going forward and back. Again, make sure you're going straight up and down. You can support as much of your body weight as you need to with your hands on the chairs. As you strengthen, you'll need to support less and less of your body weight until you get to the point where you won't need the chairs at all. Then, after you're able to do your own body weight for a while, you can graduate to holding a dumbbell in each hand. Make sure you catch your breath after you've completed the first leg and before you start the second leg. Now let's do a little recap. Your form needs to be slow and controlled on every movement. Try to keep your breathing pattern normal where you exhale on the exertion. On the 3 movements where we do one side at a time, one arm row, tricep kickback, and split squat, if you do have a weaker side, do it first and then equal that number of reps on your dominant side, and pretty soon you won't have a weaker side anymore. Each time you do one of those exercises, you need to stay in the 10 to 15 rep range. If you couldn't complete 10 reps, then you selected a weight that was too heavy, and if you did 15, then you can increase the weight next time around. Each time you do one series of 10 to 15 reps, it's called a set. Now for the first 2 weeks that you do this, in other words, the first 4 workouts, because I want you doing it twice a week, I want you to do one set of each of the 8 exercises I showed you in the order I showed you. That should take you less than 15 minutes. Starting on the 3rd week and thereafter, I want you to do 2 sets of each exercise. Complete all 8 exercises once and then repeat the same sequence. That should take you somewhere around 25 minutes. Make sure you warm your muscles up a little bit before you start each workout, and make sure you rest just long enough in between each set to catch your breath. 2 times a week, that's it. And make sure that you have at least 2 days rest in between each workout. For example, Monday and Thursday, that's great. Tuesday and Thursday, not enough rest in between. And again, if you want, you can do your 25 minutes of cardio on the same day as you weight train, and it doesn't matter whether you do it before or after. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about stretching yet because the focus up to this point has been on what to do to lose fat. And although stretching won't directly help you to burn fat, it will keep your muscles and connective tissue more flexible and supple, which in turn will help you to stay healthy and injury-free so you can stay in the game. With that in mind, I provided a time-efficient stretching demonstration that can be found at the very end of this DVD. I'm going to wrap up this DVD with a quick summary of why we're here, where we're going, and how we're going to get there. We're here to learn to exercise wise, not more. Most people don't have time for long daily workouts. Long daily workouts are physically exhausting and don't allow your body ample recuperation time. And long daily workouts lead to mental fatigue and burnout. All those factors lead to inconsistency, and that's why exercising more doesn't work. Where are we going? We want to be able to lose fat and make the looking good and feeling great benefits an ongoing part of our lives. We need to create consistency with our exercise, which means 2 things. Number 1, we need to find a way to fit it in so it doesn't overwhelm our already busy schedules. And number 2, we need to make sure it works. How are we going to get there? We're going to make sure it's effective and time efficient. Cardio activity burns fat, and a faster metabolism from weight training not only allows you to burn more fat when you're doing your cardio, but speeds the metabolism 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 2 25-minute cardio sessions and 2 25-minute weight training sessions. That crucial combination of fat loss activities is how and why this will work in less than 2 hours per week. Thanks for the opportunity, and remember, looking good and feeling great. That's just what happens when you eat wise and exercise. Welcome to the Exercise Wise, Not More stretching demonstration. As I mentioned earlier, I want you to do your stretching and flexibility exercises at the end of your workouts. It's at that point that the temperature and elasticity of your muscles is the greatest. I'm going to show you proper mechanics and safety precautions for 6 basic stretches that you can perform in a matter of only a few minutes, and that hit all the major muscle groups of the body. Just like I mentioned in the cardio and weight training sections, I don't want you to experience any pain when you stretch. Stretching should be a pleasant and relaxing experience, not a traumatic one. People mistakenly think that stretching is only about range of motion. In other words, how far you can go on a stretch even if you're extremely uncomfortable. But the real secret to increasing flexibility is how far you can stretch that muscle while still keeping it relaxed. So I don't want to see any teeth gritting or scrunched up faces out there. Stay relaxed. The other common mistake I see is that people stretch too fast or they bounce. I want you to give yourself time to relax into the stretch and hold the stretch until the muscle has time to release and lengthen. That generally takes somewhere between 10 and 20 seconds. Now before I start the demo, I want to leave you with an amusing response that I get sometimes when I ask people if they stretch. They actually tell me, "Nah, I'm too stiff to stretch." That brings me to my last point, which is, just like the cardio and weight training, the act of stretching is relative to your individual flexibility level. If someone else can touch their toes and you can only touch your knees, no biggie. The whole idea is that with consistency, your body will respond. The elasticity and suppleness of your muscles and joints will increase, and everyday tasks will become easier and more comfortable. And in my opinion, that's definitely worth a few minutes of your time. Okay, we're going to begin with 4 stretching movements on the floor, and then we're going to stand for the last 2. I want you to start by lying flat on your back and pulling both knees in towards your chest. This movement is very simple, but very effective for stretching your lower back and hips. Notice how my hands are tucked under my knees as I pull towards my chest. Hold that position for at least 10 seconds or until you feel the muscle release, and then return your feet to the floor for a few seconds before you repeat the stretch again. Now while you're right there in the same position, let's move on to the next stretch. Keeping both knees together, fold them over to the left side. The key is to keep your upper legs perpendicular to your upper body. Keep your back flat on the floor while you reach up and place your left hand on top of both legs and gently hold them down. Hold it for 10 to 20 seconds and then switch to the other side. This is also a phenomenal stretch for the low back and hips. And again, 2 times on each side. Next, I want you to come up into a sitting position and spread your legs apart. The key here is to keep your knees down and your toes pointed directly towards the ceiling. Keep your back straight and with both hands slowly reach down towards your left foot. Again, only go as far as you can in a relaxed position and then hold it for 10 to 20 seconds. This movement stretches your lower back, your hips, your glutes, your inner thighs, your hamstrings, and your calves. Switch to the other side and repeat the sequence. Make sure you do each side twice. Now I need you to roll over on your stomach while we do an abdominal stretch. Place your hands just to the outside of your shoulders, kind of like you're getting ready to do a push-up. Keep your hips on the floor and with your arms push yourself up into an arched position. Make sure you're not just hinging in your lower back. I want you to get that feeling of lengthening your spine. In other words, stretch your trunk up and out so you can feel it in your abdominals. If you feel a pinching in your lower back, you're arching up too high. Drop back down a bit. After 10 to 20 seconds, release and return flat to the floor. Rest for a few seconds and then repeat. It's time to move on to the upper body, so I want you to stand up and interlock the fingers of both hands. Then reach up and push your palms towards the ceiling. Once you're in that position, extend up and over to the left. Again, the secret to feeling the stretch is to reach up, over, and out all at the same time. Great stretch for your abs, your upper back, your chest, your shoulders, and your arms. Hold it long enough to really feel the stretch and make sure you do it twice on each side. The last movement we'll do is for your shoulders and your triceps, the muscle in the back of your arm. With your left hand, reach up and grab your right elbow and gently pull it towards the center of your body. After 10 to 20 seconds, you can release and do the same thing on the other side. And like the other movements, I want you to make sure that you do the stretch at least 2 times on each side.